So today we're going to be talking about Hillary Clinton. JK Rowling. I know, big leap there, but take a minute and think about it. Both have had too much power, peaked at the wrong time, banked on the wrong scandals, and in the past year have done way too much to try and relate to young adults and teens. Now, some of your Potterheads have already learned that Nagini is now a Korean woman, which is cool for the actress playing her, but it's another set of blunders for the sequel to the Fantastic Beasts movie. So today, we're going to take a look at JK Rowling and have a breakdown on why she's out of ideas. Here are some disclaimers. I am not one of those people who have read the book more than once, so I'm not an infinite source of knowledge. That being said, I do have access to Google, and I'm not a trivia novice. I once screamed at my camp counselor during a round of Harry Potter Seen It. She tried to tell me that Gryffindor's house animal was a griffin. Like, come on, Becky! I will also be touching the topic of Johnny Depp, but we will not be delving into the argument surrounding that scandal. And finally, no matter what I do, I am not attacking JK Rowling verbally. This entire video is a critique on some of her actions in the past years. In addition to that, I promise to always end videos in these segments on how to improve. Okay, so I think to really effectively look at this, we have to go back to the start, or should I say, the end of the series. When the 7th book ended, how many of you were seriously concerned about Harry's choices in naming his children? Granted, this wasn't the worst thing or the worst way to end the series, but this was one of those things that sort of started my dislike of how JK treated the series. Next was the announcement that Dumbledore was gay, which, if I'm honest, is sort of the first case of JK Rowling rolling in like the detective from 30 Rock.
How do you do, fellow kids?
Where was this in context? Why couldn't she have shown us this rather than have to tell us this in some sort of public afternote announcement? This only worsened for me with the release of the Fantastic Beasts textbook and the Tales of the Beetle of the Barn in the US. To me, this is weird. She was done. Why would she need to write anymore? She should be set. The films weren't finished. She had no reason to be doing this. Now, I know that she frequently gives to charity, but this still struck a chord to me. If JK was going to write more about the universe, why couldn't she just create new characters, or just more about Harry or Hermione? How kick-ass would it have been if we could have read about Hermione's climb to becoming the Minister of Magic? We could have done a Devil Wears Prada situation, or it could have just been a freaking revolutionary book about feminism in the workplace, but instead of doing that, it's with magic and shit. I think the real big turning point of things was when her follow-up popped up. Casual Vacancy. To quote my mother, it wasn't too good. Kind of bland compared to her other work. I think at this point it was clear to her that she was in that Carrie Fisher spot, unable to shake the one thing that made/started her career. Then there was Pottermore, which was just a Harry Potter book simulator. And then it wound up basically disappearing, and the only thing that's left of it is you can get your Patronus, your wand name, and your house. After that, again, it was a bit silent until Cursed Child and the rehasting of characters began. Hermione became a black woman, which personally, I'm all for. If she started out by writing this in a way that was obvious when she first wrote the books. Again, I want context, not lines about Hermione's pale face becoming ghost white or whatever. Cursed Child was more than obviously a co-written fan fiction for Harry Potter. There are already so many videos explaining and breaking down what's wrong with these plays, so I'm just going to put a bunch of links up in the description. Essentially, the first act gave the play so much potential with the development of Scorpius and Albus, and then they decided to shit all over Cedric Diggory, and you know what, the play just went down the toilets. Warning! There's about to be a rant about Cedric Diggory! If there was one thing that I cherished in the Harry Potter book series, it was Cedric Diggory. He was such a good noodle! He was always helpful and nice to everyone that he met in the series. The movies turned him into such a fucking
That's all.
Anyway, essentially, Cedric was the golden boy of the school before Harry showed up. He was heroic despite not having Harry's dumb luck, and his death is tragic, but marks the change of the tone of the series when Voldy returned. He was a good kid. Then it became the fucking symbol for everyone in the 5th book to learn how to fight and not die tragically if a Death Eater came for them. In Cursed Child, they shit on Cedric's image and death by basically saying if Cedric was pantsed in front of the entire school at the start of the Triwizard Maze round, then it would be enough to just make him a fucking Death Eater. Just getting his fucking pants pulled? Seriously, guys? Cedric was such a good character. He was kind. He would pay back favors. He was reasonable. He was friendly. It's like saying some kid who was giving to charities consistently, feeding the homeless, and was loved by everyone in the school. Like, what is that? Just decided to become a neo-Nazi because his best friend Mike pulled down his pants. What kind of writing is that? What kind of character development? Again, breaking the whole Harry Potter concept of time theory, yada yada yada, how you can't really break time, you just kind of create more time. Yeah. It became apparent to me that JK Rowling doesn't care about characters outside of the Golden Trio anymore. Everyone else is malleable and just for her to use to create social media storms or save her career. Think about it. She's the same person who abbreviated her name so she could be mistaken for a man, so people would buy her books. She wrote Harry Potter in the 90s. Come on! That wasn't a time where you had to be afraid to be a female writer. That wasn't even a time where it was that big of an issue for women to be writing stories. The only reason she changed it was her publisher told her that it might sell better if she pretended to be a dude so it would appeal to young little boys. Like, how sexist is that? On top of that, she can't remain consistent with her changes either. It's been confirmed that there will be no signs of Albus Dumbledore being gay in the new Fantastic Beasts movie. This is literally her chance to show how progressive, hip, and cool she is, and she isn't taking it. To add extra measures, when it came to rehiring Johnny Depp, yes, he was in the first Fantastic Beasts movie for like a minute. But when it came to rehiring him for his role in the sequel, she didn't even comment on the allegations or the outrage it was bringing from her fans. Like, at least blatantly explain yourself, or blame it on production. What, you'll hear out Johnny Depp, but not PewDiePie? For those of you who don't know about the scandal or haven't bothered to look into it, PewDiePie at one point for a charity raised his arm and did the Nazi salute, as a joke. Rather than looking into it, JK Rowling jumped on the bandwagon of screaming racist at him. But this is a trend when it comes to many stories, shaming someone but also not doing the research to see whether or not it's earned. But you know, PewDiePie is not the only person who is kind of looking racist on the surface level. With this new casting and all these rapid random changes, the Nagini casting is especially enlightening. Forgive me if I'm mispronouncing her name, but Gavia Baker Whitelaw in her article to the Daily Dot breaks it down. To start with, quote, Nagini's entire role revolves around her inhumanity, first being gawked at in the circus, and eventually transforming into Voldemort's pet/weapon. While the white characters come from a neutral starting point, Nagini is already bogged down in a racist subtext, beginning with her introduction in the trailer, a mysterious woman performing in a cage. The article goes on about the debate on whether or not Cho Chang could actually be a possible Chinese name. In fact, it's simply two Korean last names broken up. Another example is a character from Cursed Child who is named Panju, which is literally just the name for an island in Versailles. One missed opportunity, which is mentioned in the Daily Dot article, link in the description, is the fact that Nagini sounds like, and I could be butchering this, Nagin or Nugget, the snake people from Indian mythology, which, again, missed opportunity. You could have casted someone who was Indian, and it would have been a cool interpretation if you were going to pretend that Nagini was a cursed human all along. To be fair, I don't blame her. This is her chance to finally let everyone see her vision. She's in a time where it's encouraged to have people of color in her cast. Why not use every chance you can to insert more representation to your media, especially given the fact that you don't have the old text to weigh you down. But oh wait, the only person of color who I can even remember being in the first movie was the American Magic Minister, who was a B-plot character at best. She's not even showing up in any of the pictures that I've seen for this new movie. JK, you had a chance. Newt wasn't really described. I haven't read it, but I doubt his textbook started with him saying, "Before you read this, you must simply note that I am a white male, and though I am a nerd, I am quite clearly handsome." Though I love Queenie and Jacob, you could have added more layers or implications to the characters. Have Queenie and her sister be Latina. Or even better, Jacob could have been an African American, adding another layer of tragedy and reasoning as to why he couldn't open up his bakery at the start of the first film. There are so many options to this, and yet JK did not take them. She makes changes when it's convenient, but she's not even willing to commit to them. It's clear there's been a real lack of caring about what the fans think anymore. That's fine if you don't want to stay true to them. Just at least stick to your own words. JK, if you're in a rut for what to try out next, try different things. Make a freaking RPG game for Harry Potter. Or better yet, Telltale, a gaming company, is going out of business. They just had to lay off over 200 of their workers without severance. You could buy them out, make sure those lost employees get what they've earned in addition to a job if they want it, and then have Telltale make a Harry Potter game about like the founding of Hogwarts or the Marauders. Or, as my friend always rants, make your own comic book series like Archie, where you can mess with the time and different universes in your own books. You could hire new writers to revamp things or do different scenarios. You could even do Cursed Child, but like over time and more developed and better. Stop trying to prove you're not a racist and just make characters that are people of color from the start. Or better yet, if you feel like you can't write them well enough and back out, consult someone or don't touch it. We don't always need something new. The fans will be perfectly happy remembering what they have. And whatever you do, do not try and revamp Harry Potter when Fantastic Beasts fails.